Pod Populi, podcast for the people.
I'm running on nothing but faith. There's things far too great that I want to accomplish. I'm hoping 25 hours a day, but something good works out, and I'm just like, dang. Think everything's gonna be okay. Yeah, I'm like, dang. Think you might just know the way. I'm like, dang.
Welcome to Dang. Dang! I was going to say it too. Welcome to Dang. All right. Today we're going to talk about how important it is to choosing the right type of friends. And it says good friends, yes. It says here, choosing the right kind of friends is crucial because they can significantly influence your thoughts, behaviors, your overwhelming well-being, impacting your mood, your self-esteem, and even your life choices. Essentially, the people you surround yourself with can shape who you become. So, selecting positive and supportive friends is the key to personal growth and happiness.
I totally agree with that.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
I saw something about a study this week, actually, where they took a group of people and they put like a negative, I don't remember the exact parameters of the study, but essentially they put a negative person into a group and they took how long, they were trying to see how it would affect the group's productivity and outcomes. It was for like a workplace sort of a situation. And they said within 60 minutes, just within an hour, it had degraded the productivity of the whole team. It had brought everybody down. There was like fighting and bickering. Like it had such a profound effect that they were like, literally when you hire negative people, you are killing your productivity.
Yeah, I'd rather hire people that think we can get it done. Because see, the thing is, when you're working in an environment, failing is okay, but you keep trying, and you keep people saying, well, let's try this and that. You want people who are positive and who think that we can do this, because it does get done eventually, and it may not be the exact way you want it, but it gets done. And if you have positive people surround you, everyone's going to keep working hard to get it done, because there's always lows and stuff. Well,
and like, especially when, like you were saying with friends, life is so difficult and challenging, as we've talked about in past episodes. Like, I mean, everybody is fighting a hard battle. That's like a mantra that I like to repeat to myself sometimes, is like, just look at everyone as somebody who is fighting a hard battle. And so if we're all struggling and life is hard for all of us, then it kind of makes sense that being positive and not being negative is the only choice, right? Like you need to make that choice, or else people should just, it's like you send your kids to your room if they're throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah, and I also think it has a lot to do with, no matter what kind of money you have, people are always going to be struggling emotionally, mentally. Yeah. So they have to see, the successful people have to surround themselves with people who are positive, who are always looking out and actually for their best interest. That's why it's important that when you have a company and your company starts doing really well, making lots of money, you reward the people that are positive around you.
Like the Eagles.
Oh, in the Eagles, they rewarded Saquon Barkley with a bigger contract. They rewarded because he's the reason why they went to the Super Bowl, basically. Jalen Hurts always got his money, but they're rewarding people on that team with money. And what that's going to do is it's going to make other people who are coming up in college, who are free agents, go, I want to play for that team. And that's the key. I think if you're a businessman and, you're smart, you'll always keep positive employees around you.
Well, and I think it's more than just, not necessarily just for business.
No,
like
not
what
just
you
for
were
business,
saying,
just life itself.
With life, surrounding yourself with positive people is, I think, a key to happiness. Oh, yeah. I think that's a really big part of it.
And it says here also, influence on behavior. Your friends can influence your habits. That's true. Like work ethics, lifestyle choices, and even your decisions-making processes. Now, I'll tell you something interesting. Your work habits, when you put people around you that are positive, that work really hard and don't like to fail, it makes you work even harder. You know what I mean? But if you have people around you who are quitters, who quit, then you'll end up quitting too, the same way as them. You'll end up being just like them.
I think that they'd say in like the those bicycle races, like the Tour de France and stuff like that, they will work as a group. right? Like they'll what's it called where they're taking the wind off of each
winding.
other?
Yeah, I forgot what it's called, but when they're doing
Why can't I think of that?
well,
word?
it's when they're doing the wind. You get behind somebody. It's just like they do that in drag car racing too.
It's gonna drive me crazy till we think of the
forgot
word.
what it's called, though.
Everybody out there who's listening is thinking of the word and shouting it for us right now.
Yes, but we don't remember it.
Oh, what
and
is
also,
it?
it says this too. We'll figure that out later.
Drafting,
yes.
You're drafting.
Yes.
And what I'm trying to, my brain died until I could think of that word. But you are working together. Like it's, that idea is a big part of being willing to kind of take some for the other team and not being negative about, think about how it would work as a team if you're just sitting there and growling like frustrated that your position is to be the drafter right now. It's like, no, this is part of taking one for the team, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
well,
that's where
it says here, emotional support. Good friends provide a support system, offering listening ear and encouragement during difficult times. So when I was going through all my crap, 32 years ago, I had friends who were always telling me, man, you can make it, man. I know you can do it. I know you can do it.
Yeah.
And then I had a friend who kept bringing up, my past when I was I was like 5 or 6 years sober, kept bringing up, and I didn't talk to that person for like a year.
Yeah.
And I rekindled the friendship later when he stopped being so negative with me about my past because, it's bad enough that, that the media kept bringing up my past, but then you get one of your good friends doing the same thing makes you feel even worse. So
you go through something hard like that, and it really kind of helps show you who are the good friends in your life.
Well, I'm the kind of person that if you're not a good friend, I can cut you off. Yeah. I know how to, there are some friends you can stay friends with, but you got to keep at an arm's distance. Yeah. Like in the street, I can be friends with you, but I ain't bringing you to my house. If I don't trust you, you ain't coming to my house. You know what I mean?
So setting boundaries.
Yeah, setting boundaries with some of your friends. And I think that, I'm friendly to everyone, but it's important to set those key boundaries. And so that
letting people prove, I think that brings up a really good point of letting people prove to you when they should be allowed within a next layer of the boundaries. Like
That's
having
right.
these layers of, because it's not like you should go around being like, oh, you are not good for me, so I'm not going to be friends with you. Obviously that would be terrible if everybody treated other people kind of transactionally in that way. It's just like this, are you good for me? Are you not good for me? We can't necessarily treat everyone that way and look at the world that way, but we can within ourselves have this boundary line of I will be nice. I'm going to be kind and nice to everyone.
Yes.
But you have to prove that you are good for me to get inside of this boundary and then inside of this next boundary line, have a hierarchy there. And I think especially if you think about the way that you make friends, one of our friends was just telling us about how she's had these friends for, since elementary school because they were, they knew each other, they were thrown together. Yeah. And as she, became an adult and was trying to kind of heal and go through things for herself, she's realizing these friends aren't actually good for me. Yeah. They aren't really the kinds of people that I would pick to have within my inner circle. They just have been there for so long. And I think that can be a really hard process to go through because it is so true that a lot of the people that we are around, that we surround ourselves with are there because of the convenience. They're there anyway. They were in our class or they go to our church or they're our neighbors. And we didn't necessarily pick them to be in our inner circle. They just were there. Yeah. And I do think that it's part of, building happiness, especially if you're feeling stuck and drugged down, that would at least be a good place to start looking, looking around at who do I allow to influence me? Well, who do I have in my inner circle?
And that's what it says. It says stress reduction, a strong social network supportive friends can help manage stress and improve mental health, which is true. Because when you're going through something, a good friend can help you get past it. A good friend, a friend like what you do for your friends, you help move them past it. The question is, do your friends do that for you? That's what you have to ask yourself and figure out who is really in your good enough friends to be close to that circle and are willing to help you when you're going through stressful times. Yeah. That's what you have to figure out. Well, not everybody, a good friend's going to be willing to do that.
So one of the tests that in therapy that my therapist kind of helped me use is because I was realizing there's people in my life often that will come. I am an empath. I feel for other people and I want to help. And I do feel like sometimes I've had people come into my life that were sort of preying on that a little bit, like in the way of like, they knew that they could get me to do things because of those attributes. Yeah. And one of the ways that my therapist really helped me to highlight and recognize if this relationship was maybe out of balance was to say, would you do this for your sister?
That's right.
You know, like, would you do this for my kids? Like if somebody is requiring of you more than you even, end up having to do for like your sister or your parents or your kids, like something's out of whack.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly,
There's something out of balance. And I mean, I'm not talking about like a short-term thing. Sometimes people need a lot of help for a very short time. But like if it becomes prolonged, and that's a good way to kind of check the balance, I think.
But when your family who generally loves you and they're very supportive of you, when they're telling you about someone, you really have to take a look at them. Yeah, because generally your family's not going to say something to you that's not true. Okay. See, real good friends can be very honest with you about like when I was doing drugs, I had friends that were very honest. They're like, dude, you should not be, dude, you're hurting yourself, bro. I can't be friends with you right now until you get yourself better. I had friends who did that. Yeah. Who turned away from me until I got better. And then when I got better, they came back and said, hey, man, I'm so glad you're back because I wanted to hang out with you, but I couldn't because you were doing that craziness. And those were good friends.
Good, those are good people making good choices to say, hey, you've been in my inner circle, but I got to kick you out. Yeah, that was a really good one.
And that's called honest and reliable. People who are truthful and follow through with their commitments, and that's the thing. But, I think that best friends and good friends in your inner circle, you have to have shared values. That's very important because because I believe in Christ and I believe in, in God. I can't have somebody in my inner circle who doesn't believe in that. If you don't believe in that, I can't have you there.
I mean, I can't. I don't know if I agree with that 100%. Oh, I think you can have friends that have a little bit of a different religious view than you.
Well, you can have a different religious view. Yeah. But you still have to believe in Christ and God.
I don't think that's true because I have friends that are Jewish.
Well, yeah, I have friends who are Jewish, but...
So that's what you're saying.
But they're not in my inner circle.
I don't think that's why. You think that's why they're not in your... not why they're not...
God says choose your friends and also your person that's equally yoked.
We'll just have to agree to disagree on that one.
Hey, look it, I got you in my inner circle.
You're lucky for that. So let's talk about that for a second, too, because we just were saying how sometimes people are in your inner circle because they were there. What about family? Because we are talking about family from coming from we were both blessed with really great families. Yeah. But there are
families.
Families.
Okay, yes, families.
And that's not the case for everybody.
No, I know
how
that. You're
tragic.
Right.
And sometimes I think it is a parent or a sibling that has to get moved out of that inner circle because they've proved.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I know that my sister and brother are truly there for me no matter what, like I am for them.
But they were some of the people that probably moved you out of their circle when you were not doing very well.
My brother was done. He couldn't be around me until, got myself together. Because I was his best friend, so it really hurt him too.
Yeah. I think you need to give everybody permission to do that if somebody in their family is hurting them.
Yeah, I think
because you've been on the receiving end.
Yeah, if someone in your family is hurting you, you move them aside. You have to, and go forward. And if they don't get themselves together, then you don't bring them back in.
How did that feel from your end, though? Like when your brother was doing that to you, you were just
No, I wasn't mad at all. I was not.
Do you remember at all how that made you feel, or was it were you so in the depths of what you were doing that it kind of just...
My brother said, which made me really sad at one time. My brother said that he saw me somewhere and didn't recognize me.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. He said he talked to me, and I was talking, and he was like, "That's not my brother." He had no idea who I was.
Do you remember that?
No,
you were so out of it.
Yeah. But he said that, and that made me feel really sad.
That makes my heart hurt.
Yeah, it was really sad for him because he went home and cried. My wife told me.
Oh my gosh, that's sad. So it's one of those, I think that's really encouraging. Like if a listener, if they have somebody that they're nervous to kind of push out because of their zone, they're hurting them and they're not in a good place to be in your inner circle, but they don't want to push them out.
Well,
what would you tell them?
You have to push them out until they get better.
But how can they feel better about doing it?
Well, because you have to take care of yourself and your family that's around you. Okay, for instance, if you have a wife and you have children and you have a family member who's not,
which is what your brother did, right? He was married.
Yeah, he was married and he had kids. Who are not actually, being safe for your family, you have to move them aside until they become better. If they never get better, unfortunately, they never can come back. But if they get better, you bring them back in and say, hey, man, I've been waiting for you, but I couldn't have you around my family when you weren't safe.
There's also a degree of enabling that comes into play when you're talking about addicts.
Yes. Well, addicts come from enabling, usually from my mom enabled me for a year. And then she went to Al-Anon, and there was no more enabling me.
Yeah.
She said to me, she goes, and if you go to jail, don't call me. And I went to jail and I called her and she went, hello, who? Click. I was like, oh no, I'm on my own. And that's when I ended up getting sober. But she didn't, it's weird though. She didn't stop helping me from the behind the scenes.
Right, she never stopped caring.
No, she just didn't want to be in front of the scenes. And what she did was she still got me into the right treatment place. And that's when I got sober. So
yeah, she's smart.
Oh yeah, she's a
But
good
I
woman.
think that's another key for letting people know that it's okay to cut somebody out, because that might be what they need. That might be the wake-up call they need.
Generally is the wake-up call. And actually for friends too, when you cut friends off because they're doing something that you may not like, sometimes they come back and they stop doing that. And you tell them what you feel is healthy for you.
Right.
Not the thing is, it's unfortunately, I say it's a selfish game because it's all about what's good for you. Until you get married. And when you get married, then it's what's good for your family and you at the same time. But if you guys were like big drinkers and you guys were drug addicts, I couldn't be around you guys either, but you guys are not, so it's healthy for me. You know what I mean? But if it's an unhealthy people that you're around, you have to move it aside and you have to become with healthy people. Because, it's just like in our program, we say, stay with the winners, not the losers. Which means that you don't hang out with people who keeps relapsing. You leave them people alone. You hang out with people who got time.
Right. And I mean, it's even like, if you think of it kind of, it can be hard to feel like you're being self-centered. I know that's the way I'm programmed. I never want to be like selfish. I don't want to put myself first. But I mean, you have the classic example of like securing your oxygen mask on the airplane before you help others.
That's right.
That's a classic example. But if you also think about it in terms of just any sort of club that you would want membership to, there's always clear guidelines of what's expected. Like, what does it take to be a member of this club?
That's right.
There's certain things that you're expected to contribute.
That's right.
And there's certain benefits that you get back. And so I think thinking about your inner circle of friends as this exclusive club, and you are the president of that club, and you get to determine what guidelines people need to meet to be able to be allowed membership into that club.
That's right.
And what they're expected to contribute and what the benefits are that they would get back. And then you yourself need to recognize that you restrict your benefits.
Yes.
It was a great book I read. The kids gave it to Modette as a joke at Christmas. They gave her the Steve Harvey, How to Act Like a Woman and Think Like a Man. I can't remember who gave it to Modette, but they did it as a joke. But I thought it looked interesting, so I read it. And he has like a whole chapter where he talks about withholding the benefits. And of course, he's talking about dating here, but I think the principle applies in that when you recognize the benefits that you're providing of like your companionship, and then he's talking about obviously more, intimate benefits, but he's saying you need to outline who those benefits are for and what kind of area, like who does the person have to be that receives those benefits.
Yes.
And I think that we can take that model of like a membership model, and it gives us a good framework to think about in terms of granting those benefits.
Well, it's like, I'll give you a good example. Kids, unfortunately, take, because they don't know how yet to give back, because it's not their job. I don't think it's their job yet to give back to their parents. It's not.
No, it's part of the job description of a parent. So you're signing up for 18 years of somebody
of giving.
Yes. And you hit a reset button every time you have another one.
Well, you know what it's like you sign up for a kid on your back, eating all your food, using all the toilet paper, peeing and pooping constantly, and all you can do is like, okay, now you're 18, get off. you know, and then the other one jumps on, you know. So
That's
it
what
definitely is.
We were just watching an episode of Silo
Yes.
on Apple TV,
Yep.
and I do think that was an interesting. There was a part. It's in the second season where Julia is in the other silo, which I don't think I'm really spoiling it that much. But anyway, there's some people she encounters over there. It's a little family.
Yeah.
It's some survivors, a man and a woman, and they've started a family, and they have these little kids. But then they encounter another survivor,
And they call her
and
an
they
eater.
hate her,
Yeah.
and they call her an eater.
Yeah, all
because
she
she's
does is
just
eat.
another mouth to
Yeah,
feed.
but she really does a lot.
And
you
there's
know?
a scene where they're interacting. The mom is holding her little baby in a sling, and the dad is having a cute little moment with her son, and the mom is just so happy. The mom is kind of a horrible
because they
person.
finally got food.
Right,
A lot
and
of
they're
food.
just like peacefully playing and happily, and then the I think her name is actually Hope, but they call her
yes,
Eater.
yeah.
She comes up, and the woman's face just changes so much. And it's interesting, that juxtaposition of like what she's willing to give and do for her own kids.
That's right.
But she's not willing to give and do it for this other stranger person.
Yeah, but guess what? The other lady stepped up and told her off about
you gotta band together.
You are all surviving. You're all, and it's true. And this is what we are in this world.
Yeah.
We are surviving. So you put people around each other that are surviving and making it and being successful, but you gotta be able to survive and keep the inner bickering out because you're surviving. And in this world today, we are surviving.
I mean,
this world is crazy today.
It's slightly different than Silo, because I don't
Well,
know
we're
that
not
you
stuck
would
in a
necessarily
silo.
be able to pick your friends quite like what we're saying. But
Well, that's not
I
true.
mean, kind of.
It's kind of like that because you are what's around you, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You're definitely impacted significantly.
So that means
by what's
choose
around.
your friends wisely,
Yes.
choose your partners wisely, you can't choose your parents, but usually your parents are good people. And they
Choose what you watch.
Yes, choose what you watch wisely, especially before
Like
you,
the
before
media
you,
that you consume.
Yes, and don't believe everything you see on media because usually they're lying.
Especially on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram is a total lie. I found that out really bad.
I
Instagram,
love it when you come to me, you're like, look at this. And we go like, spoof. Is this real or not?
But
Almost
now
always
though,
not.
because it gets you, it really does. But now in today's world, I won't get into no politics, but I will tell you this: you can just look on TV and you can hear them talking buffoonery, and that's the craziest of everything. So thank you. So friendship, I think this was a good thing, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a very good episode. No, it's not dang. It's dang. Thank you so much for this episode of Dang. Please call. Just kidding.
No.
We'll see you soon.
Well, write in and tell us stories.
Yes.
If you have stories we would love to share,
Yes.
go to dangpodcast.com and share your stories with us.
Yes, and then we'll talk about it. Or if you got something good to talk about, maybe we'll have you on one of our episodes.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much. See you then. This podcast is produced by my wife, Bettijo Bridges, in collaboration with Pop Populi, and edited by our daughter, Adelie Ann.
She is also the musician responsible for our theme music, so go check out Adelie Ann wherever you stream your music. Have a question or topic you want us to cover? Send us your suggestions at dangpodcast.com.
If you would do me a quick favor, please subscribe or rate our podcast to make it easier for others to find. Have a great week.
I'm running on nothing but faith. There's things far too great that I want to accomplish.